Hey, this is Idea Coaches. Welcome to part 2 of the Illuminati, the Light, and Young Justice, where I talk about how Young Justice was actually written by a whole bunch of conspiracy theorists who fear the Illuminati. Very great show, but there's too many parallels going on. So we covered a lot in part 1, and now let's get into part 2 and try to wrap this up. It's very large in scope, but I'm trying to be as concise as I possibly can. Let's get into it. All right, one thing that conspiracy theorists always talk about is how, those who, the governments are really in tight with the Illuminati, have a relationship with the aliens, and aliens have advanced technology that they give to us in exchange for like humans or some sort of sacrifice. Now, the Light end up doing something like this with this group called the Reach. The Reach is a bunch of aliens who come to Earth, and they appear to be friendly, but what they're trying to do is actually kind of raise humans to be like cattle. And they're the ones who actually supply all the GMO stuff that I was talking about earlier. So they have an alien aspect to what's going on and controlling the Earth, that the Earth is not controlled by those who inhabit it originally. Let's talk a little bit more about the Reach. Many conspiracy theorists believe that for the U.S. and many other Western countries to win wars, they had secret deals with alien races that in exchange for blood or some sort of natural resource, they would supply us with different technology for the Americans and the other Western countries to defeat their enemies. In Young Justice, this is actually portrayed a little bit in episode 17 of season 1 and as well as episode 9 of season 1, where Superboy comes into grips with a lot of alien technology from a planet called New Genesis. Superboy gets this technology by happenstance when he's captured by Simon, a mind-controlling member of the Light. Later on in episode 17 of season 1, the New Gods come to reclaim the alien technology of their homeworld, New Genesis, but allow later on for Superboy to keep. Later on in that episode, it is revealed that humans have obtained New Genesis and Apocalypse technology without the New Gods being aware of it. And it finds out that later on there'd be members of the Light giving out the technology to humans to succeed in whatever goals that they had at the time. GMOs. Now, GMOs are a big topic today. Right now it's 2013. People are talking about Monsanto and their effects to U.S. crop farming and stuff like that, and putting poison in our seeds and all this genetically modified food. Now, to be honest with you, I'm a huge DC fan, as you can tell, and the thing is with the GMOs in Young Justice, this is not actually a new concept if you followed the Teen Titans and Young Justice comic books back in the late 90s, because they did have this aspect to the villainy of a number of bad guys they were facing, where they control what kind of food you ate, and then by doing so, they would end up controlling you over time, because it'll lower your defenses to different suggestions that the Illuminati would have, like on TV or on the internet or whatever form of media that you're consuming. So let's get into that real quick. The issues that I'm going to talk about with the GMOs is actually very predominant in today's news world with Monsanto and their ability to provide the world with cheap food. Now, there's a lot of problems because they use GMOs and, genetic splicing seeds and stuff like that. So the seeds are not natural. And the big scare here is what is this going to do to our bodies? And what's going to do to our minds? Is it going to make us more susceptible to different suggestions and make us addicted to certain kinds of chemicals that are already placed inside of the food? Is it going to mutate us? And in Young Justice Season 2, Episode 12, True Colors, they talk about that. At this point in the series, the Reach has come to Earth as friends, and they wanted to make it known that they are a friendly alien race, unlike what they've tried to predict the Justice League to be. One of their first things is promoting a way of providing lots of cheap food to the humans, and the main thing would be the additives are in their own carbonated drink called the Reach. It is revealed by Vandal Savage that the humans that drink this drink will become addicted to it, or at least the additives inside of the drink. And as well, in later episodes, revealed that this drink is also making them more prone to suggestion, something that a lot of conspiracy theorists think that fluoride does in the water systems in America today. Now, the Light the Illuminati, uses children. They kidnap children and pretty much force them to evolve in a number of different ways. There's a lot of clone techniques. So there's a lot of genetic modification to beings and clones. And there's a whole group of teenagers who fall into this trap right here. And this happens more often in season 2. So let's talk about them very briefly. Okay, so this is where things get a little bit deep. In season 2, episodes 5, 10, and 14, there are a group of kids who are kidnapped by the Reach and the Light. And what they want to do is to find out what kids have or have the potential to have superpowers. They call it a metagene in the DC universe. The Light complains that members of the Justice League and other superheroes block the evolution of humans. And so what I believe the Light want to do, which you can infer by their actions, is that they want to create an army of super beings and control those super beings. How this relates to the Illuminati is a thing called MK Ultra slaves, meaning that through electric shock, hallucinated drugs, sleep deprivation, sexual abuse, boys and girls, like a girl will become a sex slave, meaning through certain triggers or certain key words will make her have an insatiable control to have sex. These things are like a kitten programming, as they call it. For the boys, they're usually placed in somewhere in the military, and they're just programmed to kill or complete their tasks at any given cost through a different set of triggers and keywords. It is said that for many of the boys who don't go into being, mass murderers or anything like that, they end up going to be pop stars. And that's how you have a lot of pop star breakdowns and whatnot. And the girls who end up going through the pop star route are also sex kittens. Girls like Britney Spears and Rihanna and Kelly Clarkson are very big key names for that. On a side note, in season 2, episode 13, Aqualad deals with a shattered personality. It means that he no longer knows who he is. And that's actually one of the keys of getting these people to become MK Ultra slaves, because you have to break them down to their barest bones to build them back up, or create multiple personalities, so each trigger could trigger a different action. So if you want a young girl to have sex, you'd have a certain trigger for that. If you want them to become a murderer, you have a certain trigger for that, so on and so forth. So this actually happens to Aqualad through McGann, the Manhunter, and ends up showing the viewer that these things can take place, that you can actually lose who you are. Now, mind control has another more sophisticated aspect about it. The more sophisticated ones where you believe that you're acting on your own free will, but you're not. What ends up happening to a character named Red Arrow, who's a clone, who later on finds out he's a clone much later in his life, is that he finds out that there's triggers in his mind that are done verbally, where he feels he's acting under his own free will, but he's not. He's actually just a puppet for the Light, and ends up serving the Light quite well at the end of season 1, where Vandal Savage at one point explains pretty much everything I'm explaining in a very, very short term in terms of how the mind control works in their universe. But I want you to watch the show because it's actually very, very good. I want to talk more about the sophistication of mind control, not just so much the TV show, but how Illuminati conspiracy theorists view it as. One of the most sophisticated forms of mind control is controlling the subject without them even knowing it, with them believing that they are actually acting under their own free will. This happened to Red Arrow, who is a clone that was created in the laboratories of Star Labs, which is controlled by the Light. His main objective was to join the Justice League and use a bio-alien technological life form named Starro that puts whatever subject under the direct control of the Light, which he succeeds in doing because for 2 episodes, the Justice League are under the control of the Light through Starro. This ties in, once again, much more deeply with the MK Ultra slaves and their use of certain soldiers. The Light have a number of different mind control beings on their team. They have Queen Bee, who can control any man in the world in a certain proximity, and some women, kind of implying that you can control anyone that's attracted to a woman. And they also have Simon, who seems to be at the same level of power of telepathy as Martian Manhunter and Magan. There's a character in season 2, episode 11, named Despero. Now, Despero is not part of the Light or the Reach. However, with his third eye, he can use that to control the subjects of which he sees, and he creates a triangular prism on the Hall of Justice that is unbreakable until he's broken down. Okay, so that was my wrap up of the Illuminati and Young Justice. Now, at the end of season 2, you got to see Vandal Savage shake hands with Darkseid. So Illuminati members shaking hands with Darkseid. Now, for those who don't know, Darkseid is a character, pretty much whole existence comes down to fighting this equation, which pretty much grants him the owner of like the universe, the rightful owner of the universe. It's a mathematic code where he can take people's will at will, and that's probably the most closest thing to Satan that you can get. Now, a lot of times when it comes to Satan and a lot of other comic book characters, cartoon characters, there's always like this bait and switch. With Darkseid's a little bit different. It's kind of like, I'm the ruler and that's that, and I'm not giving you anything. There's characters like Mephisto, or where they tempt heroes or like current villains who were heroes in the past with some extra power, or bring some back from the dead, things like this. Darkseid is much more of a villain where it's like, I have absolute control of everything. I don't have to give you anything. You should be grateful for me in my presence. So I would love to see what happened in season 3 if they ever really pick this show back up. Hopefully they will sometime in the future. I found it to be very, very good. I hope this video was informative. Guys, share, subscribe, take care.